Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Going the Distance. This is episode 73. Can you believe we've done 73 episodes? I can't, but I want to welcome the new members who are just joining me for the first time, and I want to welcome back the members who've been joining me from the beginning. Your support is greatly appreciated. So, before we get started, I want you to hit that thumbs up button and like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. So we are going to go the distance today because we got a lot to get into. We got the NFL draft, we got some NFL news, we got the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and the what we're listening to segment. So let's get going. So first we're going to talk about the NFL schedule is going to be released on May 14th. So this is exciting. This is really, the draft is really the start of to me, the start of the league year, because you get the new players coming in, and you get all the free agents coming around. So with the schedule coming up, we'll actually do a special after the schedule release about some of the teams and their schedule. I probably won't go through all 32 teams, but I'll pick a few teams and talk a little bit about some of the games, some of the most important games, and see how it goes. So before we move on, who's y'all's favorite team? And for the schedule release, who are y'all excited to see? Who are y'all excited to talk about? See your team play. Who are you? How far do you think you'll go? In fact, let's make a prediction. What do you think y'all's record is going to be, even after the draft? Looking at the draft stuff, how do you think your team's going to be? And after the schedule, that's going to be more apparent because you can see from last year how good the teams were compared to this coming year. So that ought to be interesting. So moving on, the San Francisco 49ers signed George Kittle to a 4-year, $76.4 million contract with $40 million of that money guaranteed. Now, is that the right decision? I think so. George Kittle is a heck of a player, but right now, in my opinion, if I were the GM and head coach, if I was John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, I would think more about signing Brock Purdy because your quarterback is the most important player on the team. If you don't have a quarterback decent enough, you're not going to have a decent team. Yeah, the wide receivers and all that are good too, but the two biggest players on the team are the quarterback and the kicker. So if you have those two things, you're good. So 49ers, let's get to working on Brock Purdy's contract and let's get him signed to a deal. Moving on, Sam Howell was traded from the Seahawks to the Vikings on draft. I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday, but he was traded from Seattle to the Vikings. Now, the Vikings already have a quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. And now that Aaron Rodgers is out of the picture with Minnesota, they need a backup for J.J. McCarthy. Sam Howell might be that guy. Now, that being said, J.J.'s not just going to walk in there and have the number one spot. He has to compete with Sam Howell, which I think is right because both of them are going to be new quarterbacks to that roster. And I believe that this ought to happen, that quarterback competition and may the best quarterback win. I'm actually pulling for McCarthy to get it because he should have been the starter last year. But the new Seattle quarterback, Sam Darnold, go figure, got the starting job and took Minnesota to a pretty good record. But was it a fluke? We'll see. I kind of think it was. But, anything can happen. So congratulations to you, Sam. And we'll see how you do with your quarterback battle up in Minnesota. And may the best quarterback win. So moving on, we're going to talk about the NFL draft. To start out with, they had the draft in Wisconsin, Green Bay, right out from Lambeau Field, actually right outside of Lambeau Field. And it was really pretty cool because Goodell came out and he had former members of the Green Bay Packers, people like Clay Matthews, and they all got to say a little something about, just say a little something. And so, I thought that was great. And then they got into the draft and they started talking about who are the Titans going to pick. Now, that was the big question. Was it going to be Cam Ward? Was it going to be Travis Hunter? Or was it going to be somebody else? Well, y'all, in the end, I'm here to tell you that the Tennessee Titans signed Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, first overall. Was that a good pick? I believe it was. Now, on that note, after he was drafted, he went through his preliminary stuff with getting everything together, doing his press conferences, being introduced, this, that, and everything else. But Cam Ward wanted to wear the jersey number 1. Sorry, that looked like 11. The jersey number 1 in Tennessee. Well, here's the funny thing. Warren Moon wore the number 1 jersey in Tennessee. Tennessee retired Warren Moon's jersey. So, that being said, he asked Warren if they could unretire his jersey so Cam could wear the number 1. Warren said yes. So Cam Ward is going to be wearing the number one jersey for Tennessee next season. And as I see it, Cam Ward is already the starting quarterback. Now, granted, you could sit there and say, oh, it's going to be a quarterback competition between Cam Ward and Will Levis. Well, I think Will Levis needs to sit on the bench for a little while because he didn't have that mentality. And I know Cam Ward's the first rookie, but we'll see how he does. Give him a shot. Moving on, we thought the Browns were going to pick number 2, and all intentions pointed to that. But when the pick came in, it was breaking news that the Browns had traded their second-round pick with the Jaguars for their 6th-round pick. So the Jags moved to 2, and the Browns moved down to 6. And so the Jaguars ended up picking Travis Hunter, cornerback, wide receiver out of Colorado. I think this is a great pick because, the Jaguars need somebody. Now, granted, I have my days with Jacksonville. And, they're not always great feelings about them. But I don't just sit there and dislike the Jags like I do Pittsburgh. But anyway, the Jaguars picked up Travis Hunter, cornerback wide receiver out of Colorado, which I think is a great pick. I hope you do good there, Travis. I hope that's the missing piece because y'all have the quarterback. Y'all have got the coach now, I think. Now y'all just need some wide receivers. So Travis Hunter might be part of that piece in. Moving on, the Giants picked 3rd with Abdul Carter. He was an edge rusher out of Penn State. Don't know much about Abdul Carter, but we're talking the Giants here. So I'm sorry if you're a Giants fan, but I think there's more wrong with the Giants than just draft picks. I think you ought to get a new coach. I think there's a lot of things that have to go to make the Giants be contenders. Anyway, moving on. My Patriots picked 4th, and they picked Will Campbell, outside tackle out of LSU. Great pick. Heard him talk. he sounded great. He sounded like he was ready to go, and he had already worked out for the Patriots, because they get to do that. These players that get declare for the draft, they get to work. They get to set up, schedule team meetings. So he had a team meeting with the Patriots, and he got to work out with Coach Vrabel and meet Kraft and Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft and all that. So, they knew what they were getting into and knew right away, yes, this is who we want. So, congratulations to you, Will Campbell. Can't wait to see you play. In fact, I can't wait for this season right now, because this is going to be such a good season, I think. With all the twists and turns in the offseason this happened, this is going to be a good season. But anyway, moving on, the Browns had their pick where they traded with the Jaguars at number 6. Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan, is who the Browns picked. Now, the Browns come back later on, because if you've noticed in these picks, I haven't said Shadir Sanders yet. So where does Shadir Sanders come, Peter? I'll let you guys know here in a little bit. Let me get done with some of these, and I'll let you know. The Raiders selected Ashton Genty. I know I butchered that last name. He's a running back out of Boise State. He's going to be another big piece for the Raiders to make them good again. I'm thrilled with that pick. The Jets picked Ahmad Mimbu. He's an outside tackle out of Mizzou. So, all you Jets fans, and I know I've got some Jets fans that watch this channel, I'm going to keep an eye on you guys and see how you guys do. The Panthers had their pick, and they picked, and I know I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm sorry, Tentarani McWilliams. He's a running back out of Arizona. He looked like he was going to be good, y'all. And the Panthers need some good stuff in there. Then we had the Saints, who picked Kelvin Banks Jr., outside tackle out of Texas. And then to round out the top 10, the Bears picked Volston Loveland. He's a tight end out of Michigan. So let's see how these top 10 teams do now. So I know what you're thinking. Oh, before I finish, the Giants traded and got the 25th pick, and they picked up Jackson Dart. He's the quarterback out of Ohio State. Wait, it says Ohio. Oh, okay. So the Giants actually had the 25th pick, and they picked the Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. I'm sorry, I was looking at that wrong. I was looking at who the Vikings picked 24th. But Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss, was picked 25th. Round 1, pick 25 in the draft. But, Peter, where did Shadir Sanders go? Was he drafted? What happened? I'm glad you guys asked, because he didn't go Friday. He didn't go Thursday. He didn't go Friday. They waited until Saturday. And Shadir Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, was drafted in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of reasons why I believe Shadir dropped to the 5th round. Everybody had him going in round 1. At least late 1, early 2 is what we're thinking. But here's the problem. Dion got out there and started talking and said, well, I think Shadir ought to pull a Eli Manning. And if anybody who knows that situation, if you don't, let me tell you. Eli Manning was drafted in 2004, and the number 1 overall pick that year was the Chargers. The Giants held the number 2 pick. I believe it was 2 or 3. Anyway, it was high first round. But regardless, the Chargers held the first pick. And the Chargers picked Eli Manning, quarterback out of Ole Miss. Remind me to say something about this after I finish with Shadir. Well, Archie Manning and the Mannings weren't happy with the Charger pick. They wanted Eli on the East Coast. So what did they do? They put in a trade right after he was drafted with the Giants, who had just picked up Phillip Rivers, so they traded Eli Manning for Phillip Rivers. So Phillip ended up with the Chargers. Eli ended up with the Giants. Now, the reason I said, that's interesting, is because Jackson Dart was drafted by the Giants. He's the quarterback out of Ole Miss. Well, Eli Manning, quarterback out of Ole Miss. So, I'm sorry, but it's just not going to be what I thought. Anyway, Shadir Sanders was drafted in the 5th round. I know I got off on a little tangent there. Number one, he didn't show up on Thursday night for the draft. He didn't show up Friday, as far as I know. But he was around for Saturday. He makes the 4th quarterback on the Browns roster because the Browns have Kenny Pickett, they have Joe Flacco, they've got Deshaun Watson, and now they've got Shadir Sanders. Well, Shadir can move to wide receiver. So he's a player. Honestly, I think they ought to release a quarterback and keep Shadir as a quarterback. Just because that's what he want. If that's what he wanted to be, then that's what they're going to put him down as. Plain and simple. But anyway, Shadir was drafted in the 5th round. We'll see how they do. And we'll see how these players do. Come May 14th, we'll get the schedule. And then start of preseason, we'll get to see how these players look. So, I'm excited. So, what are y'all's thoughts on the NFL draft? Did you like the draft? Who was your team's number 1 pick? First round pick. Like I said, mine was Will Campbell from LSU. So, how'd you do? Moving on, we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. And on Wednesday, we had the Celtics defeat the Magic 109-100. So, the Celtics lead that series 2-0. I think that's great to see the Celtics where they are. They're the defending champs. And in my opinion, they can make it to the finals again. In fact, at the end of this, I'm going to tell you who I think ought to be in the finals because I've given this a lot of thought. Also on Wednesday, the Cavaliers defeated the Heat 121-112. So the Cavs lead that series 2-0. The Cavs are looking good in this postseason. The Rockets defeat the Warriors 109-94, so they tied that series at 1 game apiece. On Thursday, the Knicks defeated the Pistons 118-116. The Knicks lead the series 2-1. The Thunder defeat the Grizzlies 114-108. The Thunder lead that series 3-0. The Thunder are looking fantastic this year, just like the Celtics. The Clippers defeat the Nuggets 117-83. The Clippers lead that series 2-1. And all those games were on Thursday night. And then on Friday night, we had the Magic defeat the Celtics 95-93. So the Celtics still lead that series 2-1, even though the Magic beat them. The Bucks defeat the Pacers 117-101, which is something I thought I'd never see. So the Pacers lead that series 2-1. The Wolves defeat the Lakers 116-104. Wolves lead series 2-1. Now let's talk about that for a minute. So right now the Lakers are down 2-1. How far do you see the Lakers going? Do you see the Lakers coming back to beat the Wolves in this series? I don't. And this is all because, they want LeBron to have another ring. And they want Luka to have a ring. And I want Luka to have a ring. But I don't see Luka getting that ring with the Lakers. I don't. Anyway, all those were on Friday. And then on Saturday, the Cavs defeated the Heat 124-87. So the Cavs lead that series 3-0, which means they're one game away from a sweep and knocking the Heat out of the playoffs. Speaking of a sweep, the Thunder defeat the Grizzlies 117-115. So the Thunders win that series 4-0. The Thunder looked good in that series, although you're playing the Grizzlies, so you can't really say much about that because the Grizzlies have Ja, but that's about all you can think of. So anyway, congratulations to you, Oklahoma City Thunder. You'll play the winner of the Denver Clippers game whenever that series ends. And speaking of that game, the Nuggets defeat the Clippers 101-99 to tie that series at 2. So there was a game 4 coming, which we'll get into in a little bit. The Warriors defeat the Rockets 104-93. The Warriors lead that series 2-1. And then on Sunday, we had the Knicks defeat the Pistons 94-93. The Knicks lead that series 3-1. I'm happy to see the Pistons in it, but I think the Knicks are going to win that series. The Wolves defeat the Lakers 116-113. The Wolves lead that series 3-1. Now, that being said, think about what I said earlier about do the Lakers come back to win. I don't see the Lakers coming back to win. I see the Wolves beating them in the next game and closing that series out and moving on. Anyway, the Celtics defeat the Magic 107-98. Celtics lead that series 3-1. Go Celtics. The Pacers defeat the Bucks 129-103. Pacers lead the series 3-1. And then on Monday, we had the Cavaliers defeat the Heat 138-83. So the Cavs win that series 4-0, just like the Thunder did a few days before. The Warriors defeat the Rockets 109-106. So the Warriors lead that series 3-1. Whew. Man, that was a mouthful. So we know the Cavs are moving to the second round, and we know that the Thunder are moving to the second round. Now, who are these teams going to play? We don't know. We're still waiting on that. But when I see who they play, you guys will be the first ones to know. So let's do a little breeze through the NHL playoffs. So Wednesday we had the Caps defeat the Canadiens 3-1. Caps lead the series 2-0. The Stars defeat the Avalanche in overtime 2-1. Stars lead the series 2-1. The Kings defeat the Oilers 6-5. Kings lead 2-0. On Thursday, the Panthers defeated the Lightning 2-0. Panthers lead series 2-0. And that's surprising because the Lightning were a big team a couple years ago. And they had, when Tom Brady was with the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Rays baseball team was doing good. The Tampa Bay Lightning were winning Super Bowls, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were winning Super Bowls, and the Lightning, were winning Stanley Cups. So, and they won back-to-back Stanley Cups. Actually went 3 years in a row, won 2 of the 3, and that third year, the Avalanche beat them. So, we'll see how the Lightning do. Anyway, the Leafs defeated the Senators 3-2. The Leafs lead the series 3-0, which means they're one game away from a sweep. The Wild defeat the Golden Knights 5-2. Wild lead that series 2-1. The Blues defeat the Jets 7-2. Jets lead that series 2-1. On Friday, we had the Canadiens defeat the Capitals 6-3. Caps still lead that series 2-1. The Devils defeat the Hurricanes in 2 overtimes 3-2. The Canes lead the series 2-1. The Oilers defeat the Kings 7-4. Kings lead that series 2-1. I think the Kings might, can come back and win this series. On Saturday, the Lightning defeated the Panthers 5-1. So the Panthers still lead that series, but now it's two games to one instead of 3-0. The Knights defeat the Wild 4-3 to tie that series at 2. The Senators defeat the Leafs 4-3. Senators lead 3-1. The Avalanche defeat the Stars 4-0 to tie that series at 2. And then on Sunday, we had the Blues defeat the Jets 5-1. Series tied at 2. The Hurricanes defeated the Devils 5-2. Canes lead that series 3-1, 1 game away to move on to the second round. And the Capitals defeat the Canadiens 5-2. Caps lead the series 3-1. The Oilers defeat the Kings 4-3 in overtime, series tied at 2. And then on Monday, we had the Panthers defeat the Lightning 4-2. Panthers lead the series 3-1. And the Stars defeat the Avalanche 6-2. Stars lead 3-2. Moving on, we've got some UFL scores for Week 5. Can't believe we're halfway through the season now. On Friday night, the Showboats got their first win of the season, so they improved to 1-4, defeating the Stallions, who dropped to 3-2 with a 24-20 win. On Saturday, the Battlehawks improved to 3-2, defeating the Panthers, who dropped to 3-2 with a 32-27 victory. So congratulations to you, Battlehawks. On Sunday, the Defenders improved to 4-1, defeating the Renegades, who dropped to 3-2, 37-33. And the Roughnecks improved to 2-3, defeating the Brahmas, who dropped to 1-4 with a 27-3 victory. So, now we're going to move into the predictions. So, starting out on Friday night at 8 o'clock on Fox, we have the 3-2 Renegades going up against the 3-2 Battlehawks. I'm picking the Renegades. And then at noon on Saturday on ABC, we have the Showboats, who are sit at 1-4, against the 2-3 Roughnecks. I'm picking the Roughnecks. And then on Sunday, we have the 4-1 Defenders at the 3-2 Panthers. I've got the Defenders. And that's at noon on ESPN on Sunday. And then at 4 o'clock on Fox on Sunday, we have the 1-4 Brahmas at the 3-2 Stallions. I'm picking the Stallions. Okay, so don't have a lot of music news, but I've got a pretty exciting piece of news to tell you guys. So next week, actually a week from today, I am going to see Linkin Park live. I'm really excited about it. I've been listening to Linkin Park for 25 years, and I know you can't replace Chester, but it's going to be a great show, I think. It's been hard for me because I've been on YouTube seeing videos from concerts that Linkin Park has done on the tour I'm going to go see. And I want to be surprised, so I'm not going to, watch any of those videos. I'm going to be surprised about everything. And after that show, in the days after that show, I am going to do a video for a recap and let you guys know what I thought of the show and how I thought it went. Grandson is opening up for him. Still doing my research on him. But I'm excited. Can't wait. And that's the big announcement. I teased it for you guys a couple months ago. So now we're going to move into the Who We're Listening To segment. And who are we listening to? We're listening to Third Eye Blind. They're an alternative rock band out of San Francisco, California. They formed in 93, and I found out about them in 97 with Semi-Charmed Life and Jumper and songs like that. How's It Gonna Be? Their debut album was a self-titled debut album. They've had 7 albums, 28 singles, 34 music videos, 2 compilation albums, one live album, and their new album is an album called Our Band Apart, and it was actually back, I believe, in 2021. So they haven't really done anything in years, but they're still a great band. I still say check them out. My favorite album of theirs is their debut album. So in the what song we're listening to, I'm going to change that to what album we're listening to this week. I want you guys to listen to the debut album of Third Eye Blind, and let me know what you guys think. And as always, I just want to put out there that I want to hear y'all's feedback. I want you guys to comment and let me know who you guys are listening to. Who's your favorite genre? Who's your favorite music artist or band? And, just what are your thoughts on the show? So if you would, just drop a comment. And like I said at the beginning of the video, hit the thumbs up and like the video, because that really helps my channel. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and comment. But that's about all I've got for this week. I want to thank you guys for going the distance with me. And we will be back next week with more sports scores and news and what we're listening to. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend, and we will be back next week. All right, y'all. God bless.